Hey, it's TDA and welcome to Clanfolk, a game that released into early access just a couple of weeks ago and I've been playing it ever since. It's basically a RimWorld but with kilts and it's honestly a lot of fun. What this game is not is easy, because this game is actually quite hard and it took me several tries to just get to the first winter. I do think I have a pretty good grasp on it, so I figured why not show you guys and also maybe teach you something in case you want to play it yourself, because honestly you can use some of the tips I think in order to make sure that happens. And let's just dive into a game now. If you want to play along with me, just put in this seed. Make sure you have the settings the same as me as well, otherwise your world will be different from mine. And let's start building this world. This will be a Let's Play series, and I will probably be releasing some guides on this as well, but for now, let's just have some fun together. We are going to build ourselves a clan. There's a couple of preset clans that we can go with, but the fresh start one is kind of the recommended starting one. And honestly, it's a pretty good one as well. This is just a balanced start with 2 elderly people, 2 adults and 3 children, so you have something of everything. We also get some chickens and some food. I'll leave the tutorials off because they can be quite annoying if you have to work through them, but they are pretty good, so if you're playing this for the first time, make sure you have the tutorials on, and let's get started. Now, this game, like I said, it looks really cute, but it's really hard. At least initially, it can be really overwhelming. Now, in terms of where we want to start, just zooming out for a moment, you want to be near water. Generally speaking, larger bodies of water. If you look at the top left, you can see fishing 100 of 100%. The larger your water is, the higher that will be. So if I take one of the smaller lakes here, for example, it only has 31% fishing. So larger water bodies are generally better. We also want to be somewhat close to mountains, because we will be able to mine those. Now we have large mountains over here. We also have some fairly sized mountains over here. So I'm actually inclined to start in this area. We're already over here, so we're close, but that's just a small walk away. But there's a lot of reasons why you could pick a different location as well. For example, we have some, what is it, oats, I think, over here, but we can just walk out there to farm. This is the entire map, and it doesn't go all the way around, so this is actually going from here to here. It doesn't mean you need to walk across the entire map and you can skip from one end to the other. But the entire map itself is not that big anyway, so this is not going to be a problem. Now on the right over here, you see some things that the game suggests that we go and build. Generally speaking, that's a very good guide to go with anyway. And on the bottom, you can see our little settlers. We have some buildings that we can place down, some jobs, we can describe them. We have our inventory, so you can really see what you actually have. Currently, we don't have anything because it's all on the floor. And the task list will show you the orders that you have given to your little toons. Now, first things first, as you can see, we have a couple of things that we need to sort out. We are going to settle in this area, probably around here, so we're somewhat close to the other water as well. Alternatively, we could actually settle over here. That means we have a lot of grass around, which is really convenient as well. There's no good or bad, but if we settle kind of centrally here, we have an easier way to go up here. We have some oats over here. Yeah, so let's just go and settle somewhere here-ish. Now, in order to do that, we have a couple of things that we need to do. We need to set some sleep zones, because our people will need to sleep at some point. We have 7 people, so we need 7 sleep zones in order to do that. They will also want to wash up. As you can see, the game is telling us to do that. So let's make sure they can actually wash up. And they will also need to be able to drink. So let's have those areas set to drink. Now, we also are going to need some branches and some stones. And the way the technology works in this game is actually really interesting. You have the ideas, which is basically technologies, but you don't research them, at least not actively. There's no science in this game or anything like that. But instead, the way you progress through this tree is just by doing stuff. So for example, the wattle wall over here, which is basically a wall made from branches, will automatically unlock once we have gathered 200 branches, which we'll be doing anyway. The gravel path, for example, which is the most basic type of path we can build, collect 100 stones, and you can now make gravel paths. Now, that has its upsides and downsides. I really like the natural way you progress. It's also sometimes a little confusing that you, especially when you play it for the first time, you don't necessarily know what you should be doing in order to unlock what. But don't fuss about that too much, as long as you are kind of like building the next logical thing in the list, you should be unlocking new stuff anyway, and by doing so, work your way through the technology tree. Now we have some reeds over here that we cannot harvest just yet, so we'll just have to stick with what the game actually says, and that is collecting some branches. Now, I'm not sure why that's not working, but we can manually give them the order to do so, and just say, hey, go gather some branches. We also want to make sure we gather some berries, which we have on those little bushes over here. That will give us some basic food. We can do the same with mushrooms if we have any close by. Well, we can gather them from the other side of the map if we want, but no mushrooms, really? That's actually not necessarily a good thing, but let's just collect some of those. And stones. We need to collect some stones. Now, we're going to build our first house, I think somewhere here-ish. We have already a pretty nice open area over here, so let's make sure that there are no stones in there. They're not, actually, so that's fine. So let's collect those stones so we get those out of the way as well. Now, our people will be walking over here. One more thing that we actually need to do is set the skills of our people. Now, they will have things that they like, they will have things that they don't like, or really don't like. They will also have things that they're naturally better at learning. So, for example, Julie over here is a genius when it comes to gathering. And generally speaking, you just want to prioritize whatever they are good at learning. So let's see, do we have anything else over here? Cleaning, which is not that important, so I'll leave that down there. We also want to make sure the things that they are happy about are on the top, and things they are not happy about, we'll initially put them at the bottom, but we are going to kind of fine-tune this in a moment. For now, let's work with this. You really like this and you really like that, so let's make sure we have you set to building, for example. Julie will now really like it if he gets to build, and he will be really good at gathering, and he will be prioritizing those two things over anything else. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but it kind of guides your little tunes to making sure that they know what they're doing in what order. Now we have the things that they like best on the top. Now, generally speaking, we want to have a few people that are highly prioritized haulers. And we have several people here that are pretty happy about crafting. So I think we can boost this up for you a little higher. Now let's put this a little higher on your list as well. Mainly because we do actually want people to haul stuff around, otherwise nothing happens. We only have one person making clothing, but that should be enough. Crafting, it's really important. We have a couple of people very high in those as well. Farming, the same thing. Cooking, only... let's see, maybe we should have someone else a little bit higher prioritized in cooking as well. So maybe you. And farming, crafting... clothes. Oh, I actually am going the wrong way. We only have one miner very high. We have lumber all pretty low, so I think we should definitely put that a little higher on the list for a couple of you. And then hunting, let's make sure we have at least one person with high hunting. Just make sure that we get some stuff done about that every day. Harvesting, you actually have this pretty high as well. That should work fine. And then gathering, it's pretty even. Repairing is pretty high, but we won't have too much stuff to repair. And then having people with doctor really high as well should be fine. Okay, so now we have the priority set a little bit better. We can speed up the game a little bit. We actually have our chickens running around. And like I said, this game can be really overwhelming at first, especially since you cannot directly guide your people to do anything in this game. But we will unlock stuff as we go, and you can already see things unlocking. Now we have this ingredient zone, which is basically a collection area for our stuff. And we also unlocked a Let's slowly gain down a little bit again. A work zone, and we'll be able to make some basic crafting items over there. We also unlocked a branch pile, which is a more efficient way to store our branches. So let's place one of those down as well. Stuff will generally go into the general ingredients area over here until we have a better, more dedicated type of storage for it, and then they will try to prioritize putting it in there. We can also set a priority on building stuff. So for example, the work zone is now set very high. I can also just set it on the highest priority, and this will mean that people will start to try and build this whenever they can and drop everything else while doing so. They are really strong people, as you can see. They're carrying the very large stones. They do so without arms somehow, so that's impressive. We also have a food stockpile now, so that's really useful. Let's have that over here. We won't need a very huge stockpile for that. Just 6 slots will do. And now we have our work area unlocked. We can make some sickles. Now I'm gonna set this to an auto supply, which means it will automatically try to make sure we always have 3 stone sickles available. You can manually craft them as well, but make sure we set it to an auto supply. Just make sure we don't have to worry too much on micromanaging this, basically. I also like setting everything to auto haul, which makes that anything they make will also be automatically transported to wherever it needs to go. Yeah, and as soon as we have some sickles, we should be able to then cut some grass, and we'll start clearing an area over here so we have more space to work with, because we cannot really place anything other than storage on the grass. I didn't want to do that, but I do want to make sure this is slightly higher priority, because if we don't have tools, we can't do anything. Now, as soon as we make a sickle, we should be able to cut that grass. And we also want to make sure we cut down some of this reed, because that will actually give us access to straw, and that will unlock a few other things for us in the meanwhile. Now, to be honest, we actually are out of orders now. There we go. Clear grass. Let's clear this entire area of grass. I think we should make kind of a work area over here. This might be a little bit overkill, but we can prioritize other things as well. Now we need straw. And honestly, getting straw is a lot more efficient from reeds. So let's just cut down some of these reeds. There we go. As you can see, we're automatically making some more of these sickles, so we have some more people working on that. They can't do it all at the same time. And now we have access to straw, which means we can set a thresher up. Now we can't actually do it in the grass, so we'll need to place that down over here. Also want to highly prioritize this, because we're going to need a lot of that. And we're slowly starting to clear some of our grass and have a more easy to work with area over here. Now I'm actually going to, I think, remove this stockpile and move this a little further out, just so it doesn't get into in the way of what we're doing over here. Now we have a thresher. We want to have a pretty decent auto supply of straw, because we need it for a lot of purpose. We don't necessarily need to do anything with the hay seeds and flax. We don't really need flax for the moment. And hay seeds will automatically be produced when we're making straw, because as you can see, we're turning hay into straw and hay seeds. The hay seeds are actually useful because the chickens will eat it. We also are going to place down an eel trap over here. And let's also put down an eel trap over here so we can start fishing. Now the eel traps are really nice. They kind of need to be set in the morning, and then they will automatically fish and get us some eels. And we'll have something to work with from there on out. Let's see, what else do we need to do? We probably need to gather some more branches. in order to unlock a few more things. We can now plant grass as well. And we now unlock reeds, not wheat, reeds. And we are going to plant back some of the things that we just actually took away, because reeds are very useful. Now there we go, we have a cooking fire unlocked. Now you can see the red circle. You really do not want to place anything in the red circle, because if anything catches on fire in this game, you are going to be sad. Which also means that we are going to have to place down a way to block that. Now this is actually a problem. This is in the zone where it can actually catch on fire, but as you can see, our people are dragging it out of there. We actually need more stones. So let's make sure we are going to gather some stones. We have a relatively low amount of general stuff over here, other than grass. The amount of grass is actually really nice. We can now make walls. We can make the hay wall. But I don't necessarily want to go for that. We do want to set our eel processing. Now the way I do this is I queue up 5 eels, then I say wait until tomorrow, and then I say repeat the build queue over here. And this means that there will be someone coming by, Catherine just did it, that will set this to produce 5 eels. Then it will not do anything until the next day, and then the next day it will automatically queue up 5 more eels. We're going to do the exact same thing over here. And that just makes sure that we always have this producing some eels. Now you don't want to overfish, because if this ever reaches 0%, you don't have any fish to work with, which is not a good thing. I'm also going to make some stone hoes, which will allow us to tilt soil and things like that. We are actually going to need some more flax. There we go. We can actually remove that, but we don't mind actually cutting away more of this. Now we are lighting the fire, which is really nice, and we are also going to cook 10 eels every day for the foreseeable future, because we are producing 10 eels, we might as well cook 10 eels, and that will make sure we have some basic food production going on. We also unlocked some blockers. We can make sure that we put down a flammable blocker over here, which makes sure that we don't have anything that can catch fire next to our little cooking fire over here. And generally speaking, that is a very good idea. We now also have a dry stone fence. You can see that fence indoors is not something that is good for the environment. Outdoors it does make your stuff a little bit prettier. I generally don't bother too much with fences, especially because you're expanding a lot in the early game, but you can if you want to. Now let's check out the ideas. What I kind of want to do is actually have a different type of wall, this one, the daup wall. In order to get that, we're going to need a lot of clay and a lot of branches. Let's have 3 axes as well. And let's queue up some twine. We don't need a huge amount of twine, so let's set this to, I don't know, 20 or something. It should be just fine. And in order to make that, we are going to need some clay. And we can easily get that from over here. Let's cut down this reed as well. We are making that. We need more bathrooms. People want to go to the bathroom. Let's pause for a moment, because they probably want to do so before they go to bed. We are going to place down some poop holes. And yes, that's exactly what it sounds like. Now, I do want to think about this for a moment. And the reason I'm saying that is because in terms of farming, it's really worth kind of thinking about where you're going to place them, because you need some water, of course. You need some open area to actually do the farming. And what I'm thinking right now is that we are probably going to expand our production into this direction. So we could probably do some farming and things like animals and stuff like that in this direction. I'm probably going to forget all about that, but that does imply that we should place down our poop holes maybe like this. This will fertilize this area. Yes, that works like that, exactly how you think it does. And we are also then going to place down, where is it? Basic needs, a wash zone over here, because of course once people go to the bathroom they will want to clean up after themselves. They are very decent people. Now you can see how much food we have. We have only 1 day of food left, but we are almost at the end of the first day. And that means that at the start of the next day, we do want to make sure that we start gathering some new food and put those on the task list as well. So here we have some berries over here. We can set our people to gather these berries. I do want to make sure we get some more mushrooms. Let's see, do we have any mushrooms over here? Mushrooms, mushrooms, mushrooms. There we go. And the reason I prioritize these mushrooms so much, we are on low food. I know. That's why I just queued up a lot of food gathering. And we are just going to speed up the game a little bit. As you can see, they're kind of getting ready for bed, so they're not going to take any more actions. And as soon as everyone is in bed, the speed actually goes up to 12 times in order to kind of skip through the night. Yeah, our little animals don't actually have a place to sleep, which we are going to fix tomorrow. But for now, we'll have to work with this. And there we go, everyone woke up again, and we are going to have some people going to the bathroom, cleaning up after themselves, and then they should go out and get some more food. Now, in the meanwhile, let's go over what we just unlocked. We have a branch pile, which is a lot more efficient way to store branches. We probably want to have that close to our fire over here, because that's where we're going to use most of that. We can also place a meat rack close to our fire. For the same reason, because we're making meat over here. I'm not entirely sure this counts as meat, but I think it does. Let's put it to auto haul. That will actually place it in the meat place from the get-go. We are making all of our stuff, and we also have a serving basket, which I think we should also place down, because that actually allows us to store food off the ground, which is a lot better than on the ground, because food does spoil. As you can see, they're now all carrying in these berries, so we'll all have something to eat. And let's see, what else can we do? We can tilt soil, which we don't necessarily want to do. We have hay roofs unlocked. How are we in terms of the progress to our DOP? Is that what they call this? DOP? Is this how you pronounce it? I don't know. We have all the straw we need for that. We don't really have the branches or the clay, so we're going to have to work on that. And I think that's just a matter of time, because we have queued up the clay over here, we have queued up the straw, as well as some branch gathering. Right? Do we actually have branch gathering? No, we don't. Let's make sure that we do. Gather branches, there we go. Oh, we actually did have some of that going on over there. Okay. We can now also clear trees, which we are going to do, because in this general area we don't want any trees. So we are going to get rid of those. What we do want to do is slow down the game a little bit and start working on our first little basic house. We have 7 people. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, yes. And we are going to give them a wall as soon as we unlock that. We are also going to place down a straw door, which I think we should probably do something like over here and over here. Yes, we are now building a wall, a door without anything else going on. But we are going to fix that in a moment, as soon as we get some more clay and some more branches going. Alright, there we go. We just unlocked the water wall and the DOP wall. And this is actually, well, I actually unlocked a lot of things, as you can see, because they're still popping up. But the most important thing is that we now have a DOP wall unlocked. Now, this will need clay, branches, and straw, all pretty straightforward. It will make a low flammability wall, and once again, flames are our main enemy in this game. And I like the dog wall over the water wall and the hay wall and the log wall. Yes, we have a lot of different walls, mostly because it's the lowest flammability one, but also because it doesn't have the negative modifiers in terms of indoors and outdoors that the cheaper versions have. Because you can actually make walls just from straw or branches, but this looks better and therefore will make our people happier. Now we are going to be placing that over here, like so. We're going to leave a little bit more room over here as well, and that should allow our people to get through everything really easily. Now we are probably going to want to place down some more straw doors. Let's just make sure we have a door on every direction. We're also having some of these sleeping mats being created, so that means we can remove these. We now have 4. We'll soon have, we should be able to make all of them today, so this makes a little bit of room for general construction and stuff like that. And it's very tempting to start placing down everything that we have just unlocked, which we're not going to do, for the simple reason that we want to make sure our people are actually prioritizing making the stuff that we are trying to build now, rather than just being all over the place and doing 20 things at the same time. Now we do have some more things like tool areas and stuff like that unlocked, which we could, for example, say, okay, you can place down the tools over there. We can have a general stockpile. We don't necessarily need that. I think we have a lot of things like mining mountains unlocked now, which we are not necessarily going to do anything with either for the moment. We are going to clear out some of these stumps because they will be in the way, because this is the area where we're trying to build our house. Now it's actually a good thing to leave some of the stumps and actually clear out some trees and create some stumps by doing that, because stumps are the main source for mushrooms, and we like mushrooms. Now you can see the first wall coming up. It looks a little bit dirty, but it will be functional, and that's all we care about. Now we are going to have to place down some windows, because otherwise it will be really dark in our home, and that's not necessarily a good thing either. They care about light, they care about heat, they're like real people. What we are also going to do is we are going to place down a critter door over here, and this will actually allow our chickens to get inside. And that's important because, like I said, our chickens have no place to sleep at the moment, and we are going to allow them to sleep in our own home with us. Now the reason we're going to allow that is because they create some body heat, which is not the biggest thing in the world, but having our chickens sleep inside will actually means they will start laying eggs, and they will start to reproduce with those eggs, so that is all very useful. What we also want to do is make sure we place a roof over our home. Right now, we can simply cover our the top of our house, but what we can also do is actually extend our roof just a little bit, and that will actually give us an area to work under, which is really important because that will make it a lot easier for us to keep dry. And there are a few things, like for example the thresher will stop working if it gets wet, so that is something to definitely consider in terms of where we build stuff and how we cover those areas. Now this will give our people a lot of things to do. We have a lot of building orders, we have some farming orders, we have some lumber and gathering orders. We do have enough food now for another day. That's not that much, to be honest, so I do want to make sure we send some more people out to gather some berries. I actually have a lot of berries over there. We are producing our eels, right? Yes, we are. Did we set this one as well? Yes, we did. Now you can see the fishing here is at 89%. This one is at 100%. We can probably afford to queue this up a little further. There we go. Let's set it like this. And let's repeat that. And that should be fine. Now we do need to make sure we watch that, but now we're just producing a little bit more eels, and that should be a lot of fun. Now, we should be doing fine in terms of this as well, but I'm not entirely sure why we're not building the roof over our homes just yet. It might just be because they're trying to do something else. We can actually plant berry bushes now as well. So we could start thinking about kind of creating a little bit of a farm area over here. But like I said, we do want to avoid doing too many things at the same time. So we'll just leave it as it is for now. I do want to consider moving this area over here. So we have this kind of under the roof. Same thing for the thresher. Let's make sure we move that under the roof. And then we can work from there. Now, we do want to make sure they prioritize this a little bit so we don't like stagnate our production in any way. But they will be going to bed really soon now, I believe. We have 2 days of food, so we're doing really well on that, thanks to all that berry gathering that we have been doing. I do want to make sure, like, do we have any more mushrooms somewhere close-ish by now? Doesn't look like it. Oh, we do have some mushrooms now over there. I don't want the people to go out too far, but here we go. Alright, that brings us to the end of our second day. We have some basic functionality going in terms of our housing now. And we don't have a roof over our house just yet. Well, we have a part of the roof. As you can see, we have a tiny little bit of roof going on over here. It's on top of the wall, so that's going to be very helpful. But we are getting there. And yeah, we have set up some of our basic production. We have some food, we have some walls, we have some shelter, we have fire. We have not too much fire, which is really important as well. We have pooping holes, we have washing areas, etc, etc. So we have a lot of things going for us. I think this is a good place to end this episode. I do hope you enjoyed the game. Let me know in the comments, have you played this? Do you like this type of game? All the feedback I can get, I would really appreciate it. If you take the time and comment on this video so I can take that into account. And I hope I catch you in the next one.